Welcome back. Let's continue with the stories around the commemoration of the Marikana Massacre. If you've just joined us or just woken up, it's 10 years since that fateful day. 10 people, including security guards and police officers, died in the days leading up to the August 16th massacre. Right to Know is calling on the National Prosecuting Authority to act on the Farlam Commission's recommendations. The lobby group is picketing outside NPA offices in Pretoria, demanding prosecution of those implicated. For more on this, we are joined by the organization's Sithembiso, Khuluse, who is joining us. Mr. Khuluse, thank you very much for your time here on eNCA. Of course, you know, it was 300 days, like I was saying to a colleague of mine, it was about 300 days of sitting, more than 150 million rand spent on the Farlam Commission. The report sent out, nothing still done. And there's one particular police officer, General Naidu, that you, as Right to Know, particularly want to also know why he hasn't been prosecuted.
Yes, thank you for having us. So, yeah, obviously, you know, if you're looking at the current days now that we're in, our democracy has matured. So obviously the arms of the state must be sufficient enough to do its work. And if you look after 10 years of what has happened in Marikana, no one has been held accountable as yet. You know, the victims of Marikana haven't getting closure. The widows of Marikana, they still don't know what happens to their wives, husbands and brothers. And if you look at the recommendation, there are quite a lot of recommendations, you know, and they've made it clear that the Director of Public Prosecution in the Northwest, they should investigate these offences. And also, if you speak of the Major General Naidu, there was a recommendation that says he diverted an ambulance that was supposed to assist someone. So if he didn't divert that ambulance, that life would not be lost. But still, nothing has happened. You know, no investigation has come to him. There are quite a lot of recommendations that have been made. Even the use of force by the police, the kind of arms they were using, the lethal force. And we don't see prosecution. We don't see even those who have appeared in courts, but we don't see where their cases are going. And it can't be that after 10 years, you know, this is but still no accountability. So NPA must really pull up their socks and they must do their job.
I mean, the NPA, for instance, you mentioned court cases. There were police officers who were exonerated, for instance, and it's the same National Prosecuting Authority that was supposed to prosecute those officers that lost the case. Tell me how you feel about that and whether you still have hope in the prosecuting authority.
It's really a disappointment when it comes to justice. You know, how can a department like the NPA take a weak case to court, a very sensitive case like this one? You know, even today when we were picketing in their offices in Pretoria, Advocate Dikok came out and said, you know, this is the excuse that we are used to. He came out and say, you know, when you go to court, you must have evidence, and then you must have police who will bring evidence for you. So now the cases have been taken back to the IP for further investigation, and there's a new DDP in that office. She will try and take up these cases. So those are excuses. You know, people have died in Marikana. This is serious. You know, they must start taking this serious. People have died in Marikana, and for a prosecution officer to say they don't have enough evidence, what are they doing? What investigation they are doing? You know, even their recommendation, the recommendation must also assist them. You know, there were lots of people that were there. There were lots of witnesses who have come forward and said, this is what's happened. So they must just do their job. They can't take cases who are weak in court and then they come back and say there are not enough evidence. They must do their job, they must do mass investigation, and people must be held accountable.
And just lastly, Sithembiso, do you feel that there's a danger of the government, the prosecuting authority and South Africans at large forgetting about this particular day? Are you also, you know, supporting the call for this day to actually be a holiday, a national holiday?
Yes, we are supporting that call because this must be a lesson. You know, these things must, because if you remember, that was a struggle on its own. You know, those workers were fighting for a decent wage so they can live with their families. So that fight turned into a horror when people died for fighting for a decent living. So it must be something that must be remembered. You know, it must be remembered because they are also heroes. You know, even though they've died, some of them they were accused by the police, but they are heroes. They've exposed many inconsistencies with the system because of what's happened in Marikana. We now know that police sometimes use lethal force, of which is not right. Sometimes acts on the ground in an illegal manner. Because of those heroes of Marikana who stood up and they say, no, we want a decent now we have this day. So surely it must be a day that we will always remember. And also for the NPA, even though it becomes a holiday, but NPA must not be in the history, where it will be a day where we remember that people have died, but justice failed them.
All right. Well, thank you very much for speaking to me, Sithembiso. And I think I'll just correct myself quickly. Probably not necessarily a holiday, but a day of commemoration. That was Right to Know's National Programs Coordinator, Sithembiso Khuluse.